Hey y'all, welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, Recruiting in Yoga Pants. Alrighty, keywords. Let's discuss. Lots of confusion around this. I do have a video about my hiring manager's biggest complaint. The number one thing that my managers complain about when we're talking about resumes or they don't like a resume, I hear this more than any other complaint. This person stuffed their resume full of keywords. I cannot tell what they actually did. I have a video about it. I will link to it up above. Go check it out, see for yourself. But I do want to go a little bit deeper into this keyword concept because I do think there's value in paying attention to the words and making sure that your resume is leveraging the right ideas, keywords, in the right context. So as always, and I don't like always in recruiting, but in this case, I will say, always context matters. If you are just giving me a list of words and there's no accompanying data that says how I use that tool or what makes me a good communicator or what have you, doesn't matter. So we're going to dig into that, but I want to also help you think about keywords in a different way. And part of that is defining what is a keyword anyway, when it comes to job search. What kind of words am I looking for that would be keywords that I want to make sure I'm including on my resume or application documents? And then finally, how do I make sure the context is there? Context, context, context. Super, super important. So I look at it through three lenses. Keywords, in my world, can be title, skill, or how do I want to say that? Let's call it a tool. Okay. So when I'm searching and I'm going on to LinkedIn Recruiter or I'm using one of my sourcing tools or I'm searching my own database, maybe I've got a fun little Boolean string I can pull together. You know, I do like to search internally. I love low-hanging fruit. So bring me all the people who applied last year that we didn't hire. Let's go over round two. But there's lots of different places and ways that recruiters can search. But generally speaking, we're going to look at one of these three things. So I love using this structural engineer example because it's one of my favorite teams ever that I've got to build. It's one of my favorite hiring managers ever that I've worked very closely with. I don't work with them anymore, but we're still pals. And it's also a really good example because there's some very specific, industry-specific keywords that I like to share. So you will want to do the research on your field, your job, your title, your job descriptions you're interested in. But as an example, let's say I'm looking for that structural engineer who has done finite element analysis and data modeling for rockets. We're going to use that as our example, right? So for my title, of course, I'm going to put things like structural engineer. Maybe it's vibration engineer. I've seen some really weird titles, right? So it's going to be something like this. I'm probably going to have engineer in there. That's probably my most important keyword. This person is going to be an engineer. They are a hardware engineer who's working in very specific technologies. Okay, so I'm probably looking for some variation of, could be a senior engineer, could be whatever. So I'm going to play around with different sentence structures and keywords and key titles, and I'm probably going to do some Googling with my hiring manager and asking them, what are the right titles? What do people call themselves at different companies and things like that? So that's going to help me find potential structural engineers. Skills. This is where I'm looking at, I've already, I think, touched on finite element analysis. Both FEA and entirely spelled out, finite element analysis. I'm probably going to look at modeling. I'm maybe going to look at low and high frequency. So there's, going to be some different skill sets in there that I want to see if someone has, right? We're going to talk about how this looks on a job description too, so hold that thought. So those are some skills that I'm going to ask my hiring manager. What do you want to see on a resume? What are the key indicators that this person can do this work? Okay, so now I'm getting into tools. So I know that they have this particular title, or they've done, adjacent work to this structural engineer. I know that they're going to be skilled in data modeling, low frequency, high frequency vibration, finite element analysis, things like that. What are they using to get that done? What maybe sometimes maybe they're doing some stuff in R or Python. I've seen that a few times. Craig Bampton. Boy, I've Googled that guy more than once. A couple guys, I think. Anyway, so there's going to be some tools, some applicable software, methodologies, things like that. So I'm going to ask the hiring manager again. This is part of that conversation, that initial intake. What am I looking for? What do I want to see on a resume that gives me some confidence that this is someone I should be reaching out to? Keywords. These are all the keywords. Okay? So, how is a job seeker supposed to know this? Because you're not listening in on that call. You're not part of that conversation. How do you know what the recruiter has asked the hiring manager and what the hiring manager told her or him or them to go find? Look at the job description. Look at the required skills. Look at the minimum qualifications. Look at the job responsibilities. Because if one of the job responsibilities is to conduct finite element analysis against a data set using Craig Bampton, guess what words need to be on that resume? So look for those action words. Look for the titles, look for the skills, and look for the tools that you'll use to get the work done. Those are keywords. You know what is not a search keyword for a recruiter? Or shouldn't be? Passion. Bring. Yes, I am still salty about wasting an afternoon using one of those idiot resume scanners that told me that I lost points on my resume because I didn't include passion or bring. Ridiculous. Okay, so hopefully this gives you some context. I would recommend, and this is something that I taught when I was teaching job search classes at the Work Source of South Seattle many, many years ago. I would actually teach my job seekers to print out the job description. You don't have to print it anymore. You can just do it on your computer. This is a long time ago. Print out the job description and grab a highlighter. I don't have a highlighter, but we'll pretend. And highlight those words. Now go to your resume. Do the same thing. Are the same words showing up on your resume? So that's step one. I got to make sure if I'm saying I'm a qualified structural engineer who knows how to do analysis and who knows how to use these tools, is that on my resume? But it doesn't stop there. You can't just list FEA Craig Bampton structural engineering. You can't do that. You have to tell me, and more importantly, the hiring manager, how you used it. This is why this matters. I've had lots and lots and lots of hiring managers over my 25-year career who have been burned by, oh, this candidate says that they're, have this expertise in this tool. And then they get on the phone with them or they get in an interview room with them and they're asking about, tell me about this tool. Oh, well, I took a class 6 years ago. You have to be able to back it up. So that's where the context comes in. And this is where I want to see your keywords, not a standalone list. I want to see your keywords listed as bulleted accomplishments under your work history. I want to actually be able to see, not only did I perform this function using this tool, but I accomplished this by doing that. Okay? That's where keywords come into play. So yes, a recruiter is going to, attempt a search. They're going to use those key phrases. They're going to use those indicators and try to find people with similar titles, try to find people who talk about the things that the hiring manager wants to see. But more importantly, we want to be able to turn that into a bona fide search string and be able to give you an opportunity to talk through your expertise, your knowledge, and your accomplishments, which is what the hiring manager really cares about. All right, y'all. I hope that helps. A little longer than I thought. I thought this would be a quick one, but I think there's a lot of value in this discussion. So I hope you got something good out of it. Let me know down below if you have additional questions. I will gladly address more questions. We'll do a follow-up video. We'll chat about it in the comments, whatever you like. But this is important. This is an important one for you to get right, not only on your resume to increase the odds of getting a call on your applications, but also being findable by recruiters and hiring managers. All right? Optimize your profile. It's important. Okay, y'all. We'll see you next week.